Hello, my friends. Welcome back to A Common Touch of Fantasy. My name is Paul. Thank you for joining me today. It is September the 3rd. It is Labor Day. Good luck to all the kids going back to school, either tomorrow or they maybe already have gone back. Stay in school, read. That's what the cool kids do. Anyways, guys, I'm trying to catch up on some reviews and I'm trying to put some content out. So, you guys get this wrap-up video of pretty much the last 2 months of the things that I've read and just me talking about the books. If you've never visited my channel before, these type of videos for me are very informal and I don't edit hardly at all. If I do, it's like a miracle. So I put up graphics and stuff while I'm reviewing things. But one of my goals when I restarted my channel is to keep things shorter. This one might be longer, but in the future, shorter videos so that people will actually, watch the videos because they're not 30 hours long. Anyways, let's get to the books. First off, The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This is his newest horror book, and this book is all kinds of messed up. I was shook into my core while reading this. Basically, there is this couple living, or actually they're on vacation, and they're up in the mountains by a lake and stuff, and the woods, and they have their daughter with them, and the two fathers are there enjoying themselves, having a good time, and all of a sudden these post-apocalyptic weirdos show up and basically take them hostage. Now, they have to give them this choice that they have to sacrifice one of the three, so either the two fathers or the young daughter has to be sacrificed in order to stop the end of the world. And it just gets crazy, and it's very violent, bloody, but it is fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and it's not something that is as good as his previous books, like A Head Full of Ghosts, but it was still a great read, and it was relatively short as well. Gods, Monsters, and the Lucky Peach by Kelly Robson. Kelly Robson is one of my favorite short fiction writers right now, and she's doing just great work. Water for Versailles is fantastic. This was fantastic too. This novella from Tor.com is inventive. It's about time travel, but it's all about trying to figure out how to save the rivers in the ecosystem in the future by going back in the past and seeing how it actually evolved and in real time how it actually works. So they're going back to the Tigris and Euphrates back many centuries when it's basically in the Bronze Age, to try to figure out what's going on with the ecosystem and to try to replicate that in the future. But when they go back and they meet some of the natives, things go kind of haywire and a bunch of timey-wimey stuff happens, and it's fantastic, and I loved it. Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I started reading this back in March, I think. I read maybe 300 pages, and then I stopped. And then I picked it back up around June, maybe. And I had the audiobook as well, so that kind of helped me get through it. It was great. I loved it. I love these books. Epic fantasy is my cup of tea. I love to build up to these epic scenes that happened. And if that's not something you particularly enjoy, reading, 900 pages to get really epic 300 pages worth of stuff, then it's probably not for you. But I really enjoyed it. What I like about this book more so than the previous books is that there's so many Easter eggs and so many points where the author is opening up this world building to you completely, which was fantastic. I think that as the series goes on, that people are going to look back to Oathbringer as the one that really firmly established the world building even more so than the previous two. I thought it was fantastic, and I enjoyed reading it. Holding by Graham Norton. This is a mystery book, kind of like a cozy small town mystery book. It's in Ireland. And what's great about this book is the main character is overweight, and he's a police detective, and he's trying to figure out what happened to this individual that has gone missing, because they find some bones in this graveyard. Not a graveyard. There's tons of bones in graveyards, but bones, like, they just find some bones, okay? And they try to figure out who it is. And so it's great because he's overweight, and he's not a perfect character by any stretch of the imagination. He has his faults, but to have an overweight character dealing with his weight in a story, along with love interest, as a guy that has always been larger my entire life, it was just nice to read, and it was a fun book. It wasn't like mind-blowingly spectacular, but it was fun. It was short too. Bindi Home. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the original Binti, but I thought this one was a much better novella. Basically, Binti goes home, hence the title, and she has to do this like masquerade, coming of age, becoming part of the tribe thing, but because of her now half alien self, a lot of the people around here aren't really okay with that, and so she has to go and with these individuals and do this whole like spiritual wandering walk thing. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought the themes of this one were a lot stronger than the first one, and I'm looking forward to reading the Night Masquerade eventually. Alright, moving on. New York 2140. Kim Stanley Robinson. The guy is just really smart. Kim Stanley Robinson writes hard SF, and it's beyond a lot of what I can understand a lot of times, but I still enjoy it usually. This one was enjoyable to a point. I liked the characters. I liked the setting. Basically, New York is now flooded, and nowhere New York is turned basically into Venice. And I like that he approaches climate control in the way that he does, where these people are dealing with what happened and not necessarily like running away from the earth. What bothered me about this book, and what I struggled with, was the financial things. So a lot of the book is focusing on how they can bring down the financial system in order to help the people living in this area of New York, and to have people stop taking advantage of individuals. And I do not like economics. I do not like financial theory. It was difficult for me at times, and it wasn't my favorite Kim Stanley Robinson book, but it was still so lofty and so it's so detailed, and it was a tough book to read, but I got through it. I liked it, but the financial stuff bored me to tears. Age of Swords, Michael J. Sullivan. I read this and Age of War. Age of Swords was a better book in my opinion than Age of War. It's my favorite of his new Legends of the First Empire books. And the reason why is because in this book there is a group of women that go dungeon diving. Basically, they have to go down this dungeon to get something for these dwarves, and it's basically a group of women, and it's fantastic. They're on a quest, and that's what's so great about this book. And what these books are all about is basically they're step-by-step explanations of how the world became how it is way in the future in his Rhaeria Revelation books. And the time jump in these books is very small, so it's very the scenes, the story is very centralized, very tight, and at times that can seem like not much is going on, but the character growth and the character focus is why I like these books so far. But Age of War was a little different. So the war has now come with the fray and the humans, and there's the conflict, but there just was something missing. All the characters were in the same general vicinity, and there wasn't much exploring of the world. There was a lot of exploring of emotions and characters and backgrounds and what the characters' motivations were, but the actual conflict was just okay. And I wanted them to do something a little bit more. It felt like they were in the same place for a long time throughout the entire book. It was still good, but not my favorite. Moving on. Already did that one. Wait a minute. There we go. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Trying to read more classics. I listened to this on audiobook and also followed along in a regular book. And I was actually able to get through this. Yay. It was okay. I probably will never read it again. It's not like Frankenstein. Frankenstein is amazing. Dracula is okay. There's a lot of points in the middle of this story that focuses so much on Lucy and her being sick and stuff. It drags on for so long. The beginning, when what's his name, Jonathan, is in the castle with Dracula, that's really interesting. And then the end is really interesting. It's just the whole middle part with Lucy. I just know. Okay, John Crowley is one of those names that you hear when people talk about canon or literary science fiction. I use quotes because both of those things are pointless. But this is my first John Crowley book, Aegypt. I could not understand this book to save my life. It's written well, but it's way over my head, and it's all about the past history of the world and how that history is way different than what it actually is, and it's so difficult to explain. So in this book, it gives you other books about the history of the world within this book, with other books, multiple books, and then multiple characters with the same name at different time intervals, and you have to put all that together to form like a semblance of what's going on. And I failed miserably. It was over my head. It was too difficult of a book for me. I might try John Crowley in the future, but yeah. So those were the books I read in the last few months. Follow me on Twitter, PaulCTOF, CommonTouchOfFantasy.com, Instagram, Paul's Books, and Goodreads, PaulCTOF. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're interested about the star rating with any of these books, you can follow me on Goodreads or Twitter or something, and I'll probably actually put up the star rating when I link this video to those reviews. All right. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time on Common Touch of Fantasy.